Hey guys, Hotcakes here, and today I'd like to show you what I'm calling the fancy-ass house that I've created in Sims 3, and I'm excited to show you. So, I am the kind of person who plays Sims and only does it really to make houses. Sometimes I play with my Sims. I do like to make Sims, but after a while I tend to get bored. And then I go and I make another crazy house and I spend way too long on it. So, as you can see, I'm kind of putting in the foundation right now. I'm kind of going for a mansion, sort of fancy house with a courtyard in the center. And right now it's looking like a weird puzzle piece, so in a little bit here I fix it up and kind of round out the edges a little bit so it's not quite so boxy, if you will. So I work incredibly slowly. This house took me way too long to make, but I am sort of a perfectionist, and like I said, this is my favorite thing to do in The Sims. I love Sims 3 and how customizable it is. I actually have not played Sims 4. I have heard that you lose quite a bit of the customizing that you have in Sims 3. I love the tool for creating patterns and stuff. That is like the best thing ever added to a Sims game, and it's totally ruined my life because I spend all this time on the little details of my houses. So in here you can see I'm unsure about what windows I want to use with these doors, and I have these really neat greenhouse roofs that I bought through the Sims store that it's hard not to use on every single house that I build now because I just think they're so cool. So I'm trying to find windows that kind of go with those roofs, and so far I try a million things and then I undo it all because I realized that these windows that I've picked look a little too modern, I think, for what I was going for. So I'll be switching them out sometime soon. You can kind of see I'm trying to sort of build my little courtyard right now. These hedges are kind of perfect for what I'm going for. Then I'm going in and I'm trying to add some fancy columns. And I can't say enough about how customizable this game is compared to basically any game I've ever played, obviously, but I'm almost nervous to try Sims 4 in fear of being let down because I'm totally spoiled now with how much I can change in this game. So as you can see, I added a little tiny fountain, a little pool for the courtyard. It looks kind of fancy. I'm adding a second floor. It's kind of a lofted house, I decided. Putting in the walls for the kitchen. There's a little entryway right there. And you'll see me enter in the move objects on cheat a couple of well, more than a couple of times, like maybe 1,000 times. And, you know, back here's, I'm sort of designing the master bedroom where I think it's gonna go. And one thing I struggle with when I build these bigger houses is, which is kind of a con of Sims, is I do wish that you were able to put furniture and things closer together. They have to allow for a lot of space for the Sims models to actually interact with the objects, and in doing so, I feel like with these big spaces, you've got a lot of empty space that I'm always a little unsure of how to fill. And I'm the kind of person, when I design the homes, I want them to be more of like an everyday sort of functional house. So these bigger mansions I hardly ever build because it's just too much room. But maybe I will do a smaller house some other day, which won't take me 10 million years to make. But as you can see, I finally decided on a window that kind of fits the style I was going for more. And I spend forever going back and forth on different things. In fact, you'll see in a later part, I end up splitting the bottom floor in half because I'm just not sure how to fill that space. Sometimes there's weird, awkward hallways that you can't really put any furniture into because it's not enough space for the Sims, but at the same time it's so much room that it looks strange with nothing in it. So here you can see I'm kind of putting in a little pathway, sort of like a little cobblestone path around the little pond. Kind of adds a sort of organic touch. Sometimes Sims, you know, it's a game, it's all digital, so when you put things in there, it doesn't necessarily look real, so anything I can do to sort of make it look more natural, more realistic, I will do. So I'm putting in some of the dirt terrain texture. Again, like I said, I waste a lot of time on these little details that I doubt anyone will ever notice, but for me it makes it a little bit more realistic, and when I do actually play with my Sims, it helps me kind of get into the role-playing aspect. They really care about their grounds, maybe they have a groundskeeper and they have these little fancy topiaries and stuff, and I like to imagine what kind of person lives here. I think this house is sort of confused as far as architecturally what it's inspired by. I like the little greenhouse roofs, but I also like that tiled roof that I have going on, the kind of orange roof, and they're totally different styles. I'm not sure that they totally work together, but I like them. You'll see me kind of go back and forth with these trees and little shrubs and rocks and stuff. I eventually end up going with these aspen trees. I like the hue of the green on those trees a little bit better than the autumn trees. And here I'm kind of fiddling with where all the windows are going, because for some reason in Sims the stairways are always super fickle. You can't put them down when the windows are there, but you can put the windows back as soon as the stairs are there. I don't know, it doesn't make any sense, but there it is. So anyway, I'm putting in the two lofted areas. One of them is going to be kind of the living room area, and the other place will eventually be the kids' bedroom. And here I'm just kind of, once again, I'm changing my mind a million times, and I wasn't quite happy with the flooring on the porch. I go back and forth with, you know, the paint in that main area like 3 times. Here I'm adding some little details of these stones on the corners of the buildings. Again, it's just, I don't know, I like doing these things. They're tiny little details that make it more realistic. Here I am, I'm filling in all the windows. Finally setting some paint down. I kind of work a little ADD slightly. I will go through a room and maybe do half of it and then walk away and come back. But I almost always start with the kitchen. It's much easier for me to lay out for some reason. I know there's going to be counters. I know there's going to be a fridge and a stove and all that good stuff. And usually when I lay out a house, I pretty much know where the dining room is going to be. I always make it the fanciest room in the house. Depending on if I'm doing like a mansion or just a little house or something, I'll have a formal dining area and then I'll do maybe a little bar stool area or a breakfast nook or something. You can see here I'm changing all of the wood to match all of the cabinets and everything. I bought, because I'm irresponsible and I have zero qualms with spending my money on digital furniture, I bought a retro kitchen set from the EA store, which I do not regret. That fridge, that microwave, and that stove are all from that set. And I went crazy and built this mid-century modern house, which I would totally live in, and then finish building it, and then I get sad because it's not real and I have no money to actually build a house that looks like it, so. Here is a little chandelier and putting in some fancy lighting. I'm placing my formal dining area right there, and exactly like I was saying, there's a little bar stool area for a less formal eating area. I am also the kind of person who I think I do things maybe a little too matchy-matchy, but when it comes to these sort of fancy homes, I feel like I don't want to go too crazy with the colors. I feel like it should all be sort of harmonious in a way. I try to keep different patterns from room to room, but color-wise, I sort of keep it all the same. And you'll see me actually go back in and change the color of the countertops because there's just not enough contrast in this room. I eventually decide the cabinets are a little too light against the floor. And you'll notice too, I believe this about real life too, but your house is not a home until it has plants in it. And so you'll see me just filling this place with houseplants, and that's why I spend so much time on the courtyards and stuff too. I feel like it really looks full and complete when you've got plants everywhere. I know not everybody feels the same way, but I'm insane when it comes to plants, so that's kind of what I prefer. So I'm working on the little entryway now, and like I said, with these bigger houses, you have these extra spaces, and at least for me, I'm sitting there and I'm like, what the hell do I do with this? So I think I did okay for what I have in the space that I had there. It can always be a little bit better, but when I'm actually playing with my Sims, I spend more time making adjustments to the home than actually doing anything goal-wise with my Sims. So here I tossed around the idea of having this sort of fancy fireplace, which I think could have worked, but I eventually end up scrapping it because it's just not working out. So I start the living room, and that's about it. So next time, I'll try to speed this up a little bit. This video was way too long. But if you guys like what you see, like and comment and subscribe, and we'll be back next time with the next part. So thanks, and see you later.